Communicative language teaching. History and characteristics. The origins of communicative language teaching are found in the change in the British language teaching tradition, which considered grammar competence as the foundation of the language proficiency dating from the late 1960s. For aspects of communicative competence, grammatical competence, sociolinguistic competence, discourse competence, and strategic competence. Communicative language teaching is based on Hames concepts of communicative competence, which is an extension of Chomsky concepts of linguistic competence and performance. Hames posited that it is not enough for learning to be competent in linguistic or grammar alone to use language in a given cultural social context. Howard stated that the communicative language teaching stresses the importance of providing learners with opportunities to use English for communicative purposes and attempts to integrate such activities within their program of language teaching. It assumes that the language does not occur without social context. Based on this concept, both language teaching and learning should be accomplished in its context.
Approach. The communicative approach focuses on teaching language through communication. The teacher in communicative language classroom acts as a guide or facilitator, and students engage in class activities to learn the language. For example number 1. Lupita might set up an activity where she asks students what their favorite holiday is and why. She can pair the students up and have them talk to one another about it while Lupita walks around the room and helps the pairs out. Through this activity, the students are learning the language through their discussion with other students. That is, they are learning through communication. Example 2. Diana is an English student and her teacher left her the task of working with Juan. What their teachers ordered was that in pairs they had to conversation about their past vacation. Diana and Juan had to tell about their experiences in the classroom. Diana will say what Juan did and Juan will say what Diana did. Example 3. The teacher Mary has asked her students that in their classes all the students should speak only in English, from the beginning of the class to the end of it. The teacher agrees with Holiday's theory that the interactional function using language to create interaction with others, and the personal function using language to express personal feelings and meaning.
The following are levels of objectives in a communicative approach. 1. An integrative and contact level. 2. A linguistic and instrumental level. 3. An affective level of interpersonal relationships and conduct. 4. A level of individual learning needs. 5. A general educational level of extralinguistic goals. Syllabus. One of the first syllabus models to be proposed was described as notional syllabus, Wilkins 1976, which specified the semantic grammatical categories, example, frequency, motion, location, and the categories of communicative function that learners need to express. The Council of Europe expanded and developed with into syllabus that included a description of the objectives of varying language courses for Arab adults. the situation in which they might typically need to use a foreign language, the topic they might need to talk about, the functions they needed language for the notion-made use of communication, as well as the vocabulary and grammar needed. The result was published as Threshold Level English.
Teacher's role. According to Brain and Candlin in Richards and Rogers in 2001, the teacher has two main roles in communication language teaching. The number one is to facilitate the communication process between all participants in the classroom and between these participants and the various activities and text. The second one is to act as an independent participant within the learning teaching group. Other roles assumed for teachers are need analyst, counselor, and group process manager. Also, Cook in 1991 said that the teacher is no longer a dominant figure continuously controlling and guiding the students. Rather, the teacher takes one step back and lets the students take over their activities, making up their own conversations in pairs and groups, learning language by doing.
The role of the student is a negotiator between the self, the learning process, and the learning object. He becomes a negotiator between his own learning process, between interactions with his classmates, and finally between the activities that take place in the classroom. In other words, the student must contribute as much as he earns in the classroom, learning independently. You also have to cooperate in the learning process.
Materials. A wide variety of materials have been used to support communicative approach to language teaching. Unlike some contemporary methodologies, such as communicative language learning, practitioners of communicative language teaching view materials as a way of influencing the quality of classroom interaction and language use. Materials thus have the primary role of promoting communicative language use. Text-based materials. There are numerous textbooks designed to direct and support communicative language teaching. Their tables of contents sometimes suggest a kind of grinding and sequence of language practice. A typical lesson consists of a theme, a task analysis for thematic development, a practice situation description, a stimulus presentation, comprehension, questions, and perhaps exercise. Task-based materials. A variety of games, role plays, simulations, and task-based communication activities have been prepared to support communicative language teaching classes. These typically are in the form of one-of-a-kind items, exercise handbooks, cue cards, activity cards, peer communication practice materials, and student interaction practice booklets.
Procedure. For developing oral communication skills, Pattinson, in 1987, designs the activities as the following types. Number 1, question and answers. Number 2, dialogues and role plays. Number 3, matching activities. Number 4, communicative strategies. Number 5, pictures and picture stories. Number 6, puzzles and problems. And number 7, discussions and designs. These activities can be followed by the next suggestions. First, presentation of a brief dialogue or several mini dialogues, or a practice of each sentence of the dialogue segment to be presented that day. Question and answer based on the dialogue topic. Question and answer related to the student's personal experience. Oral recognition, interpretative activities, oral production activities proceeding from guided to freer communication activities, sampling of the written homework assignment, evaluation of learning.
Have a nice day. Thank you.